Hi, my name is Giorgio Mahela, and I'm the General Manager for Collaboration and Customer Experience here at Webex. Customers want their issues to be solved quickly, and many will look for self-service options before calling, and when they do, more often than not, it's unpleasant or a broken experience. So this massive disconnect exists between businesses that think they're providing customers with fantastic service, but with poor access to information. This results in broken promises and missed opportunities to build lifetime relationships. But the reality is these experiences begin before a single phone call is made to your contact center or collaboration solution. Today, I'll be speaking with Jake, a Webex customer who is the Senior Director for Communication Services, Networks, and ICT Facilities for the Australian Capital Territory Government. That's right, he's joining us all the way from Australia. Also, two leading collaboration and contact center analysts will be joining me, Sheila McGee-Smith, Principal Analyst with McGee-Smith Analytics, and Dave Michaels, Principal Analyst with Talking Points Research, to talk about how businesses are making tremendous investments and placing customers at the center of their universe to differentiate themselves through remarkable experiences while creating raving brand ambassadors for life. Jake, you are the Senior Director for Communication Service, Networks, and ICT Facilities at the Australian Capital Territory for the ACT government. The communication service part of the title is significant given the dramatic shift in technology and communication over the past 12 months. How have the past 12 months changed ACT's communication and technology service to meet your internal and external customers' demands?
Hi, Giorgio. Great to be here. The ACT government has been using Cisco Contact Center technology since about 2005. And our latest move to the cloud-based offering, the Webex Contact Center, has provided the opportunity to expand our possibilities by incorporating the Webex Experience Management into our enterprise agreement. The decision to head down this path come as we had an integrated Cisco platform having the ability to scale easily and integrate with other aspects of our customer experience and provide a natural evolution from our existing processes, agent skill and sets and their investment. There's been significant pressure on us to deliver from our roadmap items and projects, but moving on to more of a just do it type activity that relate to our public health response with the COVID-19 pandemic. As there was the entire community, not just one cohort, we had to look at various channels and where they were needed and how this provided much tangible knowledge for us as a government organisation to provide to the community, the citizen cohorts, and internally to our employees as well. Overall, the efficiency, stability, and scalability of the platform are our key themes, and definitely using data as the fuel.
What was the experience when the pandemic first hit? What was the focus? How did you get your team to address these dramatic demands that were happening?
We've had about 30 contact centers for a while and 400 agents. Back in March, we saw that surge to about 1,000 concurrent calls on a particular day. And so what we needed was a scale and reliability. We couldn't just throw more on-prem capacity at our UCCX deployment. We also needed more digital channels. Our agents were finite. We only had so many people, and we needed to make the information more readily available to our citizens. We were comfortable in the sense that we had a Webex Contact Center pilot happening for a couple of months, and we're able to leverage from that. And within about 28 hours of us getting the direction from our public health officials, we had a new contact center stood up for the response. This is when we saw the call volumes go up. The average waiting time went from minutes to hours, and we just needed to be there for our citizens. So we needed that scale and scalability, not just throw more hardware at the problem. We simply didn't have the time. So as we move to the cloud, it's helped us understand what our citizens need a little bit better. We now have a better understanding about what they're calling about, what information they need, and are we providing the right data. We needed to be more efficient, but also turn our mind to further digital channels. And as we said, the agents were finite, so we needed to make more use of this information. So one of the contact centers we had, which started in March of this year, over the last 6 months has received over 500,000 calls alone. And that's been handled by an average of about 80 to 100 agents. And so what we found was that our demographics have a very large cohort that use online digital channels, and we're definitely exploring those and integrating those as we go. However, there's still a lot in that cohort that like to just pick up the phone the old-fashioned way and have a conversation with an agent. And so, but they expect a similar level of service as what to do on digital channels. So finding the right balance between the digital and voice has been the key to our success.
So Sheila, Jake's story highlights how cloud helped them to scale, to also get a service that just works. By applying digital channels, they're also able to meet the customers where they are and get that multiplier with nonlinear growth in agents. The interesting thing here is that there is so much time retroactively spent on understanding customers and their experiences with the business. Businesses like Amazon, for example, who are known for their customer service, spend so much on avoiding the cold, prickly experience, especially around the holidays or notable events, including a manual audit if shipments will miss their date. They will do this and then spring into action to look for alternatives. So how can businesses add tools that help them understand these touch points in the business process and experiences to help them avoid giving customers that cold, prickly experience? Where have you seen businesses investing in tools that help them automate these types of experiences?
For years, you and I have been in this business, and we've understood that companies need to think in terms of customer journeys and not just discrete interactions. But most contact centers have struggled to move past interaction management and metrics like average holding time. So while customers expect brands to know them, like Amazon, the example you gave, the reality is that service has one view of the customer. Marketing has a different view, sales has a different view again, right? Each is an island, creating a disjointed conversation and frustration. I know myself, there's nothing more frustrating to me than to get an email about a product, clicking through, ordering it, and then continuing to get reminder emails that I should buy it. When I call customer service to ask it politely to stop, they have no visibility into the issue. The ordering and the marketing systems are not aligned with customer service. So, many think of the CRM, the customer relationship management system, as the repository of data. And, because contact centers have integrated with these for years, they think, well, agents should have the right information. But there are so many data sources not included in a typical CRM. And CRMs tend to house static information rather than dynamic information. Sometimes I'm getting that email the same day I ordered, and you can't expect a CRM to have kept up with that. So some of the newer tools that companies are beginning to deploy that are available to improve this whole customer journey we're talking about is included in the new Cisco Webex customer experience portfolio approach, as you know. Customer data platforms are part of the solution to making agents more aware of the journey that a customer is on, and even parallel journeys happening for the customer within the company. CDPs help connect data islands so service, marketing, and sales can speak to the consumer in one continuous conversation. Now, what's been missing from CDPs to date is that they don't have that real-time voice transcription information, that real-time information perhaps from sentiment analysis that we can add. And so they get richer and we get richer when contact centers start implementing CDPs and when companies like Cisco start having elements of a CDP in their own data platform, which is certainly a direction I see Cisco taking. The other aspect of this, and Jake talked about it, is Webex Experience Management, which is an application within the Cisco suite. And one of the things that I find most useful about it is that Cisco customer success managers have been helping companies and governments like Jake's to design customer journey maps and then build them into Webex Experience Management, right? And then using the predictive analytics capabilities that are in there, they can help companies understand, as you talked about, as Jake talked about, what to automate, and then what the business outcomes will be if we do, in fact, automate something, right? Obviously, another way to improve customer journeys is to automate them. In the past 2 years, automation has become a top priority for businesses, and consumers have learned the value of using automation for simple requests. They're no longer hitting zero or asking for a live agent in chat because they know they can quickly get some answers. So to summarize, I think, for years there have been standalone solutions for customer data platforms, for proactive notification, for voice of the customer, but combining them with contact center as a service and with collaboration and with marketing and experience management the way that Cisco is doing with CX solutions from Webex, I think is a revolutionary approach. And it's how customers don't get stranded by automation, by connecting all these elements with orchestrated access to live agents or subject matter experts when necessary.
I love what you just said there. There's so much to learn that happens before the contact center and after the contact center. And companies that will be successful here are the ones that are continuously investing in that customer experience. Effectively, customer experience never stops. And every phone call is your opportunity to improve that experience. Super useful. Thank you for that insight. Dave, I'm curious about your thoughts. Where even with the best customer experience strategy, customers still need to speak to someone. We used to have this rigid definition of you're a contact center agent. However, with the changes we've seen with the pandemic, that line is blurred. Hotel chains, airlines scaling down, eliminations of contact centers. And now you have this movement of, folks that used to do outside sales are now taking customer service calls. In addition to the traditional role, every employee is now a customer service agent that can provide support over multiple channels, regardless of their discipline. How have you seen businesses use technology to enable customer connections with their entire workforce to scale their business?
So a funny thing is happening about the calls coming into the contact center, and that is that they're getting harder. Sheila talked about automation technologies, and Jake talked about digital channels, maybe handling easier questions and responses. But the calls coming in that means the calls that are getting past those points are getting more complicated. And there's basically two ways to handle more complicated calls coming into the contact center. The first one is the super agent model, extensive training them to handle anything, and lots of things there, but there's some limitations around this strategy around scalability. The other strategy is to ensure the agents can get the assistance they need to resolve the issues. And there's lots of ways to do that, but there's generally subject matter experts throughout the organization, and agents need to be able to find them and reach them, possibly bring them into the conversation. And that conversation could be any number of modalities, voice, chat, video, et cetera. And so what we're finding is the traditional contact center that you made reference to is becoming borderless. The callers are calling from everywhere, the agents are everywhere, and now we need to get the subject matter experts everywhere. Now, the other big change that's happening in the contact center too, because of these other drivers, is that the contact center is becoming much more dynamic. It used to be that if we had to change something in the contact center, it was a big deal. It took planning, design. They had to hire specialists to come in and change all this stuff. We're now measuring or seeing contact centers, programmatically changing their environments in hours or days, not months. And this requires a more intuitive user interface with the contact center technology. It also requires that we don't have to delegate to developers or specialized people. It used to be specialized hardware. All the stuff that was so specialized now needs to become much more accessible. Sometimes this is done via a graphical drag and drop user interface. Sometimes it's done with visual editors. Sometimes that's called low code or no code. But the main point is that the contact center administrators and staff need to be able to control their environment.
Many people look at these new ways for businesses to communicate with customers in response to the pandemic. So this question's for everyone. Sheila, Jake, Dave, where do you think we're headed in the future? How will businesses non-linearly scale their workforce or get that multiplier effect with digital channels or even self-service options? Will this slow down or accelerate?
This is absolutely here to stay, Giorgio, and will become the new norm for many years to come. Even after we're all vaccinated and we continue on with the new normal, there'll be emergencies and government initiatives and other things that will involve extensive interaction with all of our citizens or certain cohorts. So we're looking to deploy more and more smarter technology that helps customers get their timely and accurate answers. A couple of things we're looking at in the short term are to implement conversational IVRs to allow people to more quickly get to the information they need through with our contact centers, and also omni-channel, for example, the chat functionality, so that citizens can get timely and accurate answers again when they want them, and switch between those channels as well. And since we have many different groups that we support, citizens contact us for many different reasons in a given time period. It may be desirable that they contact us several times over different services, for example. So therefore, we'd want to look at how we can make the customer experience data services to be more proactive and have an approach which connects us with our customers and tracking that customer journey, identifying where the problems may be, and ultimately to provide the most efficient and effective service to the community we can. And again, noting that we have somewhat limited resources. So again, having a whole of system approach allows us to leverage both the current and future integrations and to set the appropriate context and improve the customer experience for the organization.
As Jake was just saying, expect to see a lot more integrations so that organizations like the government that Jake represents can understand all the customer touch points that link proactively to customers. As Dave discussed earlier, I think the key to this is the orchestration tools that allow connections between systems to be made seamlessly and primarily by non-IT staff. Companies that have deployed contact center as a service already, they view the democratization of day-to-day administration as the key benefit. And I think orchestration tools like those now included in the Webex Contact Center suite are going to take that to another level, allowing business departments to make changes to workflows as business changes require. Will IT support still be required? Of course. But to connect systems like invoice and marketing or creating connections to custom applications. But the day-to-day management of changes can be brought back to departments.
I have to vehemently agree with both Sheila and Jake. The key here is to view communications infrastructure more as, an artist palette, not a fixed solution like the PBX was. Sometimes we refer to this as CPaaS or communications platform as a service, but that often implies a complete build your own type of solution. What I'm referring to is, customizable solutions, basically a business application that can be changed, integrated via APIs and SDKs and all kinds of resources that the vendors make available to customize these solutions. The big barrier actually to CPaaS in the past has been availability of developers. Developers are the most constrained, limited resource in any enterprise organization. And so if we take the complexity out of the CPaaS and bring it into the application and make it adjustable and configurable, we kind of get the best of both worlds. Now, it's important to note that, the pandemic changed everything. If the pandemic had occurred just 10 years earlier, the economic impact would have been much greater because we didn't have all this infrastructure in place. We didn't have broadband networks to everyone's homes. We didn't have the ability to do things like video and voice and chat on a web browser and stuff like that. But the comms and collaboration solution in 2021 and 2022 is very, very different today. Browser-based communications, smartphones, ubiquitous broadband, both wired and wireless, voice, video, text, everything is up for grabs and accessible.
Thank you so much, Jake, Sheila, and Dave, for your thoughts. I could not be more excited to show how Cisco WebEx can help businesses no matter where they are on the customer experience journey to start delighting customers. We have some fantastic breakout sessions where you will learn more about implementing customer experience tools to begin understanding their journey and opportunities to improve broken touch points quickly. You'll also hear about products and services that you can use for your nonlinear scaled workforce. For example, anyone in the enterprise can help customers using our WebEx collaboration services and CPaaS APIs. We also enable businesses to bring all this data together in a consumable format, allowing companies to take intelligent actions. These products and services help businesses intending to make customer experience a continuous cycle, enabling lifelong customers that continue to consume more of your products and services, becoming raving fans of your brand. From all of us at WebEx, we are looking forward to helping you create remarkable customer experiences.